Hello, and welcome to the first lesson on the How to Code in C#.NET series that I'm creating. Now, because this is the first lesson, I'm going to take things slow, but I do want to flag up a content warning. I made this in Paint. I hope you appreciate this. Now there's quite a lot of information that we can brush aside for quite some time. So you're going to hear me use a lot of words that you might not be familiar with, and this is fine. We will come back and we will explain the words that I'm saying. I'm just trying to get you familiar with the words and concepts that we use in the language of C#. All I have to say, don't worry about it for now. We will come back to it. What we're trying to do is springboard you into creating your dream application as soon as possible. And to do this, we kind of have to ignore some things for now. We will come back to them. Okay. So, in the first lesson, we are going to be creating a project, a C# project, a console application, and we're going to be printing hello world into a PowerShell command terminal. So let me load up. So we're going to start in VS Code. So I already have some notes here. So the first thing that we want to do is create a project. Well, actually, that's a lie. The first thing that we want to do is actually open a folder within VS Code where we want our project to live. So if we go to File, Open Folder, now I've created my Jaro 550 projects folder, and I've just got this open in my VS Code. And this is where I'm going to be having all of the projects associated with this series, and I'll be uploading these so that you can go and look at what I'm doing whenever you want. So once we have opened the folder, so the first thing that we want to do is open a command terminal. Now this is going to differ for certain people that are running on different operating systems. So I am running on Windows, so I am going to be using Windows PowerShell. In Linux you might just have Command Shell. In Mac I'm not sure what it's called, but I'm sure there'll be like a Command Shell. The best thing to do is use your favorite search engine to search command terminal in appropriate operating system. So I'm going to hit the Windows key and the R key. Now this brings up this dialog, which is the run dialog. I'm just going to type in PowerShell. I even have it pre-filled. So in here, what I'm going to do is go to my projects folder. So I'm going to CD, which is change directory. Again, this may differ for different operating systems. I'm just going to clear the console. Now, this is where this handy little paste comes in, because what we're going to do, so the SDK, or software development kit, that we downloaded in the first episode alongside Visual Studio Code, what we're going to do is run that. Okay, so I have to put quotes here because there's a space, and terminals don't especially like spaces. Okay, so I have to put it in quotes. So I'm going to, sorry, what I'm going to do is put a dot before it. It does not like spaces, and the dot just means execute this line of code. Okay, so it's given me a couple of things that I can do with .NET. So I can do -h, --info, --list SDKs, and --list runtimes. Now I'm not actually going to use any of those. I am actually going to use a new a command called new. Okay, and what this does is tells the executable here, so it tells .NET that I want to create a new project. Now when I do that, it spits out what are known as templates. Templates are a way to generate files within a project. So there's quite a few. I doubt that we'll get around to all of these, but for right now, because we're interested in console application, all we need to know is that the short name is console. So if we do the same thing again, and then just say we want to use the console template, and I'm going to use a parameter known as output. And all this does is give our project a name. So I'm going to call my project lesson 1. Awesome. And you can see, excuse me, in my VS Code, it has given me a new folder called lesson 1. And in lesson 1, we've been given a folder called obj. This stands for object, and we've got 2 files. One is a lesson1.cs proj. This stands for C# project, and we'll look at this in probably in a future lesson. And we have a program.cs, which stands for C#. Now, what I want you to do is to just delete everything that's in program.cs and then save the file. Before we continue, there is one thing I would like to point out right now, is that what we were doing before is calling into the .NET exe, but there is actually a shorthand way of doing this when we've installed the SDK. And this, what you have to do is just type in .NET, and this runs the exact same thing that this does. And the way that this works in Windows is that it has an environment variable set to the path, and here we have C program files.net. So it goes through each one of these paths and it looks for an exe called .NET and then calls it. So it's doing exactly what we were doing here, but it's just a shorthand. So we could have done .NET new, and again, same command comes up with the exact same stuff we were looking at before. If you would like to know all of the commands, that you can pass the what we call the command line interface of .NET. There will be a link in the description to this handy document which tells you all of the commands that you can pass to .NET. So, now that we've created our project, how do we go about programming? So, the best way to think about programming is that you want to solve a problem, okay? So the problem that we have right now is that we want to say hello to the console, okay? So how do we do that? So the way that we talk to the console in C# is through some built-in functionality into the framework of .NET, and we'll talk about what frameworks are in the future, but for right now all you need to know is that behind the language there is some help, like things behind the language to help you do what you need to do, essentially. So we have this thing, we have a namespace known as system. We don't need to know what a namespace is right now. All we need to know is that we can reach into this thing called system, and then we put a dot. Now it comes up with quite a large list of things, but what we're interested in right now is a class known as console. Now, as I type in the word console, it's going to give me suggestions until it gets to the thing that I want. Now, once I have the console, if I put in another dot, it tells me all the things that I can do with the console. So, system here is a namespace. Console is a class within the namespace system. And here we are calling into what is known as a function. The function is called write, and when we open these parentheses here in VS Code, it actually gives us a cool list of things that we can pass into the method. Hi there, this is Mark from the editing floor. I just wanted to mention here that functions and methods are the same thing in C#. This is why I think I got a little tripped up saying methods in the first instance or functions in the second instance or the other way around. I just want you to know that they're exactly the same concept in C#. Thank you. Right. And when we open these parentheses here in VS Code, it actually gives us a cool list of things that we can pass into the method write. So we have bool, char array nullable, and again, don't need to know what this is. What we want to do right now is just pass in the message hello world, and the way that we do this is to pass in a string. Now a string is just a set of Mark from the editing floor once again. What I meant to say here is that a string is a sequence of characters, not a set of characters, a sequence of characters. So the way that we represent this in C# is through quotes, and then inside the quotes is the message that you want to send. And then we end every line, most lines, in C# with a semicolon. And that's it. So if we go back into our PowerShell, and then we cd, so we change directory into lesson 1. So we're now in the lesson 1 directory, and we type in .NET. Okay, so we're going to call into that exe, the same exe that we were calling in before, and we're going to send in the command run. And then what this will do is take the text that we wrote and make it into something that the computer will understand, and we'll get into like what that means way further down. But for now, let's just think of it like that. .NET run. We hit that. And it comes back to us with hello world. Easy. So I hope you enjoyed the kind of gentle first lesson. Again, there's been quite a lot of words thrown at you this lesson, and I wouldn't feel scared that you don't know what they mean. We will cover this in upcoming lessons. It's just, again, all of these take quite a lot of explanation, and I don't want to kind of bog the lesson down with explaining all of these concepts all at once, because it's going to be quite a lot to pack into one lesson. So I hope you appreciate that. This is essentially the first couple of lessons will be springboard lessons to try and get you to code what you want to code as quickly as possible. Thank you for tuning in to the first lesson. If you have any suggestions of content you would like in the future, please leave a comment. Yeah, I look forward to doing more of these in the future. Bye for now.